What's up, Goomy Gang? And let me tell you, it's only a matter of time before that double barrel akimbo class gets another nerf. If you watch my last video, you'll know that I think it didn't get nerfed hard enough, and I stand by that. I think it makes using the other shotguns a pain in the ass, and it's a bit annoying to just get deleted from it after putting 2 pumps from the combat shotgun into someone. I won't get into the nerfs, but you can always find that video on my channel if you want to go watch it. But today, what I want to do is talk about the single double barrel, and what I think the current best class is for it, and talk about something that a lot of people overlook on shotguns, which is the accuracy stat, and we'll talk about its importance for this build. So basically, my best class for this gun without akimbo. If you're a Chad like me, you'll love to run these guns single and embrace the Doom guy inside you. You just want to get those 2 quick shots, eject those shells with that sexy break action, and then get back to kicking ass and chewing bubblegum. If you are like me, well then this class is for you. As usual, if you want the class, check out the timestamps below. I'll link to that specific part of the video. Otherwise, stick it out and listen to my reasons for picking the class with some basic stats. First of all, the double barrel from Vanguard is probably one of the worst shotguns in Warzone, at least the base gun. Basically, with this gun, you cannot get any 2-shot kills with it, even point blank, unless you were hitting head and neck shots. That's just a little too much. I'm okay with that at longer ranges, but when it's point blank and you have to hit a headshot with a shotgun, that's just kind of annoying, and I really don't enjoy it, so it's not really that great of a gun. The barrels don't really help much either. They do help range, but what's the point if you're just going to have to take 3 shots to kill? The other damage barrel besides the sawed-off, I think the Defender barrel, doesn't help damage. It does give you a little bit more range, but again, what's the point if it takes 3 shots? And really, the headshot one doesn't help that much either. It's still going to take, you guessed it, 3 shots in most cases unless you hit the head. It's just not really a great gun until we come up to the sawed-off barrel, which is the best barrel by far. It actually does increase damage by a noticeable amount, and for some reason, it gives you a really good 2-shot kill and max damage range, it seems. You can't 1-tap with this gun, but the 2-tap puts the 725 to shame if I'm honest, at least in the range department. So the sawed-off barrel on this gun can 2-tap up to around 11 meters. It starts to get a bit finicky past that because of pellet spread, but up to about 11, you can 2-tap a fully armored player. That's basically what the max damage range is from what I can tell. Maybe a little bit less than that, but it's basically 2 shots up to that point. That's basically on par with the combat shotgun with 12 gauge on, which I think also had that 2-shot potential of the same range, 11 meters. It's really, really good, especially since the double barrel has such a fast fire rate for those 2 shots. Now, if you use it, you may find yourself struggling a small bit because of a few reasons. One, the hip spread is very wide. It makes it very inconsistent when you hip fire. If you're past that 5-meter mark and are just kind of off with your aim, you probably won't get the 2-shot kill. I find that the best thing to do with this one in particular, as weird as it sounds, is to just aim down sights with the gun, which may sound counterintuitive for some people that strictly hip fire shotguns, but it's something I've always done with these heavy hitter shotguns like pump actions and double barrels, and this gun is no exception. Another reason is the reload speed. The reload for a single double barrel is for some reason slower than akimbo, which, I don't know, just makes me irrationally angry. Like, how does that make any lick of sense? I don't know, whatever. So if you come from akimbo world, good luck. The faster reload perks don't really help much at all either, so it's just something you kind of have to deal with. Basically, so far, we know the sawed-off barrel is great, but what about the ammo types? Well, as usual, packed powder is fine, it does what it says it does, but there's better options. Buck and Slug is probably the most powerful of the ammo types because it just deals an enormous amount of damage, especially with a headshot, but it's not enough to one-shot, even with a headshot, which I believe actually got stealth nerfed in this last update because it actually used to, so that's kind of weird. But the problem with Buck and Slug is it hurts your aim down sight speed by about 30%, which is awful, and it removes 4 pellets of your 8 from each shot. So it makes it hard to be precise unless you're aiming down sights. But technically, it seems like this ammo type has the best 2-shot range if you can manage to hit that slug and aim down sights well enough. It was around that 12-meter mark, but it could honestly be a bit further. It's just a little hard to tell with the aiming in the slug. And honestly, I don't really recommend it for most players. It's hard to get your shots right with it up close since aiming down sights is pretty essential, and for some reason the sawed-off barrel doesn't really have any sight on it, like there's no little bit sticking out so you can't tell where you're aiming. It's really tough to use, so you have to use a sight with it. But if you want to give it a try, let me know how it goes for you. But for me personally, the best ammo type is Incendiary. With it, we can get 2 taps around the same as the base sawed-off barrel, but it seems to be slightly less at around 10 meters or so, but it's really not that noticeable. The big pro with this ammo type is that you deal enormous damage, and it's basically just a straight up buff for damage that you do, Although yes, you do have to wait for that burn to kick in, but the nice thing though is that you deal so much damage with one shot, roughly around 160 to 165-ish if I eyeball it, and when you hit your second shot, it's pretty much an instant kill, even with EOD equipped since you shoot so fast. It's really effective, and I found it to be the most consistent up close if you're hip firing, since like I said, hip firing can be hard to deal with this sawed-off barrel, but Incendiary made it just a little bit more easy to do. So what's next? Well, I want to talk about accuracy because I think that makes a big difference for this build in particular. Accuracy is something that for shotguns specifically tightens up the spread whenever you are aiming down sights. So normally, yes, aiming down sights does tighten your pellet spread, but if you stack accuracy attachments on the gun, it improves that spread tightness even more, but it doesn't affect your hip fire spread, so just know that. What's nice about this though is that you can negate that wide spread pretty well, and it goes from being a little too much to being pretty controlled. In this picture, the furthest on the left is the base gun with the sawed-off barrel, while aiming down sights around that 7.5 meters away mark, and the one on the right is the sawed-off barrel with all accuracy attachments. It helps, trust me, and this is really the secret sauce to making this thing a beast when you're aiming down sights. So what's the build then? Well, here it is. First off, we have the full choke, which helps tighten the pellet spreads while hip firing and aiming down sights. If you're curious, the muzzle brake used for accuracy barely helps at all, and the full choke is easily the best attachment of the two, so don't bother with the others. Then we have the sawed-off barrel, Incendiary, and then we have Gung Ho, which is going to let us focus on accuracy and still be able to sprint to fire, well, immediately, since it basically removes sprint to fire speed for the guns that have it. So I use the Wilkie Marksman stock for aim down sight speed and accuracy, the Strife angled grip and hatched grip both for accuracy as well. You could maybe trade one of those grips for an aim down sight speed attachment, but I found this one to be manageable enough in terms of how fast you could aim down sights, and the accuracy you get makes up for it. And for perk 2, you can use whatever you like. Also, notice I don't have a magazine attachment. That's because both of them don't really work. The 16 gauge basically hurts your damage, so you can't really two-shot as effectively, and then the other one, the double aught, removes pellets, and it also doesn't do anything except remove pellets. For some reason it's bugged and I don't think it gives you any range, so just avoid them. As far as my thoughts on this build, it's really fun, but it is definitely a step up in the skill bit if you're talking about coming from that Akimbo double barrel. I mean, this is a whole world of difference. You really have to be precise with your shot. You can't really hip fire super well. Incendiary definitely helps, but it's definitely a challenge to get it right. But if you kind of like using that single double barrel, this is definitely the build to go for. It is really fun. Just make sure you aim down sights and make sure that you are focusing on accuracy. Do not neglect it. And that is basically going to do it for this video, guys. So let me know down below in the comments what you think of this build. Do you think that that double barrel shotgun is going to get another nerf soon, or at least Akimbo? Which way do you like to run this gun? And with all that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.